The forgotten name. History has a strange way of choosing who it remembers. The names of men echo through the centuries: Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Ramses II, all crowned with glory and power. But what about the women who stood beside them, or even against them? Their stories are often buried under the dust of time. In the heart of ancient Africa, long before Europe dreamed of empires, there was a kingdom so advanced, so wealthy, and so proud that even mighty Egypt once bowed before it. And from that kingdom rose a queen whose courage shook the foundations of the Roman Empire. Her name was Amanirenas, a queen, a warrior, a strategist. She ruled over an empire of men, commanded armies, and faced down the most powerful civilization the world had ever known. And yet, history almost erased her. This is the story of the forgotten queen who refused to be conquered. The land of Kush, far to the south of Egypt, along the great Nile River, stretched a land of beauty and power, the Kingdom of Kush. It was not a desert wasteland, but a thriving civilization with cities made of stone, temples lined with gold, and pyramids that still rise proudly in modern-day Sudan. Kush was rich in minerals, culture, and identity. Its people were masters of iron, builders of pyramids, and skilled traders who connected Central Africa with the Mediterranean world. They spoke their own language, worshipped their own gods, and saw themselves not as Egypt's shadow, but as Egypt's equal. For centuries, the two kingdoms fought and traded, blending cultures yet always competing for dominance. The Kushites even ruled Egypt once, as pharaohs of the 25th dynasty, known as the Black Pharaohs. But by the time Amanirenas came to power, Egypt had fallen under new masters, the Romans. And the Romans were not known for sharing power. The rise of the queen. Around 40 BCE, the throne of Kush passed to Queen Amanirenas. She was a Kandake, a royal title meaning Queen Mother. Unlike in Rome, where women could not lead armies or hold office, Kushite queens were often rulers in their own right. They were trained in politics, diplomacy, and war. Amanirenas was described as brave, intelligent, and commanding. Some accounts say she lost one eye in battle, but never her vision for her people's freedom. She ruled beside her husband, King Tereticus, and together they oversaw a period of prosperity. But Rome, newly seated in Egypt, began demanding tribute, taxes, gold, and submission. They sent envoys south, expecting the same obedience they received from conquered lands. Amanirenas did not answer. To her, Kush was not a Roman province. It was an equal kingdom. That silence was her declaration of independence. The Roman threat. When Emperor Augustus heard that the Queen of Kush refused to send tribute, he was outraged. To Rome, refusal meant rebellion. In 25 BCE, a Roman general named Gaius Petronius marched south from Egypt with thousands of soldiers. They invaded the northern frontier of Kush, burning villages and enslaving citizens. Petronius believed the campaign would be quick. After all, no one had ever stood against Rome for long. But he underestimated the spirit of the Kushites, and more importantly, the fire of their queen. When word reached Amanirenas that her cities were under attack, she didn't flee or surrender. She gathered her generals, armed her people, and prepared for war. The Romans would soon learn that this queen was not like the others they had conquered. The queen's revenge. Amanirenas launched a bold counterattack. Her army was fierce and disciplined, warriors known for their skill with bows so powerful that Roman shields could barely withstand them. Her soldiers were not fighting for expansion or glory. They were fighting for their homes, their families, and their freedom. Under her command, the Kushite army swept north into Roman-controlled Egypt. They captured towns and garrisons, including the strategic city of Syene, now called Aswan. Then came her most defiant act. The queen's soldiers destroyed a massive statue of Emperor Augustus and brought its severed head back to Kush. Instead of displaying it as a trophy, Amanirenas ordered it buried beneath a temple entrance, so that everyone entering the holy place would literally step on the head of the Emperor of Rome. It was more than symbolism. It was a declaration: Rome does not rule here. The wrath of Rome. The Romans were humiliated. No one, not even the mighty Parthians in the east, had dared to desecrate the image of Augustus. Rome struck back with devastating force. General Petronius led a second invasion, this time burning towns deeper into Kushite territory, including Napata, one of the sacred cities of Kush. Thousands were captured and enslaved. Rome's vengeance was swift, brutal, and merciless. But Amanirenas did not surrender. Even after her husband, King Tereticas, was killed in battle, she took command of the army herself. She fought in the front lines, rallying her soldiers, her courage unbroken. Her people believed the gods were on her side, and in every clash, her reputation as a warrior queen grew stronger. The long war. For years, the conflict dragged on. Rome could win battles, but it couldn't win the land. The desert heat, the harsh terrain, and the relentless counterattacks made it impossible for Roman legions to advance far. Amanirenas turned the war into a test of endurance. Her army used guerrilla tactics, ambushing, striking swiftly, then vanishing into the desert. Even when Rome held territory, they couldn't control it. The queen's leadership turned the war into a stalemate, one that exhausted Rome's resources and patience. Eventually, Emperor Augustus realized something few Romans ever admitted: conquering Kush wasn't worth the cost. The Peace of Equals. Around 21 BCE, envoys from both sides met to negotiate peace. The talks took place on neutral ground between the Roman stronghold at Aswan and the Kushite frontier. Amanirenas sent her diplomats, carrying her message of dignity and strength. When the treaty was finalized, it was a victory for Kush. Rome agreed to withdraw its troops, return captured territory, and, most shockingly, demanded no tribute. Both empires agreed to respect a fixed border near the first cataract of the Nile. In Roman history, this treaty was quietly recorded as a peaceful settlement. But for the Kushites, it was triumph, a rare moment where Rome recognized another empire as an equal. Amanirenas had done what few rulers ever managed. She faced Rome, fought Rome, and forced Rome to compromise. The legacy of the warrior queen. In the years after the war, Amanirenas rebuilt her nation. Cities were restored, trade flourished again, and the people of Kush lived in peace. The queen's victories became stories told around fires and inscribed on temple walls. Her leadership set a standard for generations of Kushite queens who followed. Strong, strategic women who governed empires when much of the world silenced women entirely. But as centuries passed, the kingdom of Kush itself began to fade. Its cities fell silent, its pyramids buried under desert sand. Foreign archaeologists centuries later found remnants, statues, carvings, and the buried head of Augustus, evidence of a queen whose story had been lost to the world. The queen remembered. Today, the story of Amanirenas is being rediscovered. The head of Augustus, still intact, now sits in the British Museum, its serene face a quiet reminder of the queen who once stood upon it. Modern historians and African scholars are finally giving her the recognition she deserves. She was not a myth. She was not a side note in Roman history. She was a leader who proved that power, intelligence, and courage know no gender or geography. Amanirenas ruled not through fear, but through purpose. She defended her people's freedom against the greatest empire on earth, and won peace without surrender. Her story is more than history. It's a message that greatness doesn't depend on where you are born or whether the world remembers your name. Sometimes, the greatest heroes are those the world forgets, until their truth rises again from the sands of time. Amanirenas was that kind of hero, the forgotten queen who ruled an empire of men, and never bowed to any of them.